On the night she was humiliated in front of the richest people in the city, Nia Okafor said nothing.
He says
But what
to
no one
irritate.
knew was that the poor bride they mocked was actually the true owner of the entire Dlamini empire. And before sunrise, the arrogant man who shamed her would lose
Arrogance
everything.
comes before the
On
fall,
the night the whole city
and
gathered
true
to celebrate
grace
the
rises
Dlamini
from
family,
the ashes.
no
Now,
one expected
he
the
is
future
left with
bride
nothing
to be
but
humiliated
silence.
in front of cameras, ministers, celebrities, and the country's wealthiest men. But that was exactly what Tayo Dlamini did. He stood at the center of the ballroom, raised his glass, smiled like a prince, and then destroyed the dignity of the woman standing beside him. He looked at his fiancée, Nia Okafor, and said in front of everyone, "Please clap for her. She may be wearing diamonds tonight, but let's not forget where she comes from. Her mother still folds my mother's clothes." The room went silent. Some people laughed nervously. Some lowered their eyes. And Nia did not cry. She simply looked at him with the kind of pain that was too deep for tears. What Tayo did not know was that before this night would end, the woman he mocked would reveal a truth so powerful that his entire world would shake. Because Nia Okafor was not just the poor bride he thought he could control. She was the true owner of his family's empire. And by sunrise, the arrogant heir who mocked her in public would be begging for mercy. This is the story of pride, humiliation, hidden inheritance, and the moment a rich man discovered too late that the woman he looked down on had the power to erase his name from everything he thought he owned. Tayo Dlamini had been born into luxury. His father, Chief Decisive Dlamini, was one of the most respected businessmen in Lagos. Hotels, media companies, real estate, logistics, oil service contracts. If money moved, the Dlamini family had a hand in it. People feared Chief Dlamini. People admired Chief Dlamini. But inside his own house, the man had one great disappointment: his only son. Tayo was handsome, educated abroad, and dressed like a magazine cover. But beneath the polished image was a spoiled, arrogant young man who thought money could replace character. He never listened. He never respected workers. And worst of all, he believed poor people existed only to serve him. Chief Dlamini had warned him many times. A man who cannot respect people beneath him is too small to lead people above him. But Tayo never changed. Every business meeting became a show. Every party became a performance. Every woman became an accessory. Then one morning, after Tayo embarrassed a senior manager in front of investors, Chief Dlamini made a decision. He called his son into the study and said, "If you want me to hand you the executive chairmanship, then prove you deserve it. Settle down. Marry a woman of dignity. Build a home. Learn responsibility. Until then, the company is not yours."
Tayo laughed at first. "Father, is this a business condition or a village curse?"
Chief Dlamini did not smile. "It is the last chance I will give you." The problem was that Tayo had spent years surrounding himself with women who loved his money, his cars, and his famous surname. None of them impressed his father. Then fate placed one name in his path: Nia Okafor. Nia was the daughter of Mama Sade, a quiet woman who had worked in the Dlamini mansion for almost 20 years. Mama Sade was not loud, not dramatic, and never begged. She did her work with dignity and carried pain with silence. Her daughter, Nia, was nothing like the shallow women Tayo usually entertained. She was beautiful in a calm, unforgettable way. Soft-spoken, educated, grounded. She helped run a literacy center for girls on the mainland and spent most of her time away from the Dlamini estate. She avoided parties, avoided gossip, and had a habit of speaking the truth without decorating it. That was exactly why Chief Dlamini respected her. But to Tayo, that was exactly why she looked convenient. He found her one afternoon at the literacy center, arranging books donated by a local foundation. "I want to marry you," he said. Nia looked up slowly. "You don't even like me." Tayo smiled. "I don't need to like you. I need my father to approve you." Nia stared at him for a long moment. "You want a wife or a requirement?" "A requirement," Tayo answered. "But you will benefit too. Your mother's medical bills will never trouble you again. You will live well. And after the wedding, all you have to do is stay in line." Nia's face hardened. "So that is what you think I am? A poor girl waiting to be purchased?" Tayo leaned closer. "I think you are smart enough to know an opportunity when it comes." Nia wanted to slap him. She wanted to throw him out. But that same week, her mother's treatment costs had doubled. Mama Sade had hidden it, but Nia had seen the unpaid hospital papers. She also knew Chief Dlamini had helped their family quietly for years out of loyalty to her late father. So she made the most painful decision of her life. She said yes. Not because she loved Tayo, not because she believed him, but because she thought she could endure a temporary humiliation to protect her mother. She was wrong. The engagement was announced 2 weeks later. Chief Dlamini was pleased. The city was surprised. And Madame Helena Dlamini, Tayo's mother, was furious. Helena had spent her entire adult life protecting status, image, and power. To her, class was everything. The idea that her son would marry the daughter of a house employee felt like a personal insult. At the engagement dinner, Helena did not hide her contempt. She looked at Nia's dress and said, "Simple. I suppose that is what modest girls from modest places call elegance." Nia answered softly, "Elegance does not usually need witnesses, ma'am." Even Chief Dlamini almost smiled at that. But Tayo did not like the confidence in her voice. From that day, he began reminding her exactly why he chose her. He corrected the way she stood. He mocked the way she spoke. He told his friends she was a project in progress. He once introduced her at brunch by saying, "This is Nia. We are upgrading her lifestyle one room at a time." Every insult landed. Every insult stayed. But Nia endured it with a strength that confused him. She never shouted. She never begged. She never chased him. Instead, she moved through the mansion with quiet discipline. She greeted drivers by name. She helped one of the kitchen staff pay exam fees for her son. She reorganized the charity foundation records after noticing that millions of naira intended for widows had disappeared into fake vendor accounts. When Chief Dlamini discovered what she had done, he was shocked. "You found this in 2 days?" Nia nodded. "The numbers were too neat. Real theft is rarely untidy." Chief Dlamini looked at her with a seriousness he had not shown in years. "Your father used to speak exactly like that." Nia lowered her eyes. She had heard that before. People who knew her late father always said she carried his mind. Her father, Nia Okafor, had died when she was still a child. What she knew of him came mostly from stories. He was brilliant, loyal, and deeply trusted by Chief Dlamini. But no one ever told her the full story. And that silence would soon change everything. The closer the wedding came, the crueler Tayo became. One afternoon, he took Nia shopping with 2 of his friends. The women spent the entire outing laughing at her choices. When Nia picked a simple emerald dress, one of them said, "That shade is too quiet. You need something louder. Poor girls disappear in soft colors." Tayo laughed. "They're right. If I leave you alone in this store, the salesgirls might think you came to clean." Nia froze. The sales assistant standing nearby looked embarrassed. One of the friends covered her mouth to hide a laugh. And Tayo kept walking as if he had said nothing wrong. That night, Mama Sade entered Nia's room and found her sitting in darkness. "My daughter," she whispered, "leave this marriage." Nia shook her head. "If I leave now, they will throw you out." Mama Sade knelt beside her. "I would rather lose this job than watch you lose yourself." Nia held her mother's hands and forced a smile. "Just let me get through the wedding. After that, I will find a way." But life had already chosen another path. 1 week before the wedding, the Dlamini family hosted a grand charity gala at the Imperial Crown Hotel, their most famous property. Politicians came. Society women came. News bloggers came. Cameras flashed from every corner. This was supposed to be the night Tayo and Nia appeared to the world as a united couple. Instead, it became the night that broke the illusion. Nia arrived wearing a deep gold gown, simple and graceful. For the first time, even Helena had no immediate insult. Guests kept whispering as Nia passed. "She is beautiful. She has presence. She carries herself like old money." That irritated Tayo. He had wanted a quiet, grateful bride, not a woman who could outshine him without trying. So when the host invited the couple to say a few words about love and family, Tayo took the microphone with a dangerous smile. "I'm often asked," he said, "how I found such a humble woman in a city full of socialites." A few people chuckled. Tayo turned toward Nia. "The truth is, she was always close by. Very close. Her mother has served in our home for years. So you could say, my bride was raised with an excellent view of luxury." The ballroom stiffened. Nia's fingers tightened around her clutch. But Tayo was not done. "She should actually thank my family twice. Once for employing her mother, and again for giving her a surname worth standing beside." This time, no one laughed. A famous lifestyle journalist in the front row whispered, "Did he really say that on camera?" Nia slowly reached for the microphone. Her voice was steady, but her eyes burned. "A surname only has value when the people carrying it have honor." The room inhaled sharply. Tayo's face changed. Helena rose halfway from her seat. Chief Dlamini closed his eyes in disappointment. Then Tayo did what turned shame into scandal. He looked at Nia and said, loud enough for every camera to hear, "Do not forget where you came from. You are here because my family allowed it." And in that moment, Mama Sade, who had been standing with the staff near the back, took one trembling step forward. Before she could speak, Helena snapped at security. "Take her back. This is not a servants' parade." The words hit the room like thunder. But someone else stood up. It was Lindiwe Maseko, a respected media entrepreneur and one of Chief Dlamini's oldest family friends. She turned to Tayo and said, "No, let her stand there. In fact, let all of us stand here and watch what money looks like when it is raised without character. A hush fell across the ballroom. Lindiwe pointed at Nia. That woman has shown more dignity in 1 minute than you have shown in your entire life. Then she pointed at Mama Sade. And the woman you call a servant has more class than everyone insulting her tonight. Phones were already recording. Bloggers were already posting. The clip was already escaping into the internet. Chief Dlamini stepped forward and said, "Enough." But it was too late. The gala ended in confusion. The guests left with gossip. And before midnight, the video had gone viral. By morning, the whole country was talking. Arrogant heir shames poor bride. Billionaire family disgraces houseworker. Is this the man set to inherit the Dlamini empire? Sponsors began calling. Activists began posting. One women's rights organization threatened to protest outside the company headquarters. Helena went into panic. "This girl has ruined us," she shouted inside the mansion. "She and her mother brought shame into this house." Tayo, still too arrogant to repent, said, "Then make them fix it." Helena turned to Mama Sade and Nia. "You will record a public statement saying this was all misunderstood. You will thank the family. You will tell the media there was no insult." Nia stared at her in disbelief. "You want us to lie so your son can keep his image?" Helena's voice dropped to ice. "I want you to remember that poor people do not survive wars with rich families." Mama Sade placed herself slightly in front of her daughter. "Madam, we have served you with loyalty." Helena laughed bitterly. "Service is not equality." Chief Dlamini entered at that exact moment. The room fell silent. He looked at his wife, then at Tayo, then at Nia. "What happened at that event disgraced this family," he said. "And no one will force this young woman to protect the people who humiliated her." But before anyone could respond, the head butler announced an unexpected visitor. "Barrister Cohn is here, sir. He says the matter cannot wait." Barrister Musa Cohn was the family's oldest legal advisor. He was not a dramatic man. He did not rush. He did not waste words. So when he walked into the room, carrying a black file and a sealed envelope, even Helena felt uneasy. Cohn bowed slightly to Chief Dlamini. "I am here because a condition tied to the Okafor Trust has now been triggered." Nia frowned. "The what?" Cohn turned toward her. "The Okafor Trust, Miss Nia. Established 23 years ago in your name." The room changed. Tayo frowned. Helena stiffened. Chief Dlamini looked like a man who had been hoping never to face that day. Nia looked from one face to another. "What trust?" Barrister Cohn opened the file slowly. "Your late father, Engineer Obiora Okafor, was not merely an employee or friend of this family. He was the original strategic architect behind Dlamini Communications and the logistics arm that later became the foundation of Dlamini Group." Tayo laughed in disbelief. "That is impossible." Kone ignored him. "Years ago, when the company faced collapse, your father used his private holdings, technical patents, and personal guarantees to save the business. Later, when he died during an industrial fire while protecting Chief Dlamini, a confidential equity transfer was executed. By law and by signed family covenant, his ownership stake was preserved for his only child." He looked directly at Nia. "You." Silence. Thick, crushing silence. Then Kone delivered the blow that shattered the room. "Through the Okafor Trust, Miss Nia Okafor is the majority beneficial owner of 51% of Dlamini Group. Helena staggered back into a chair. Tayo's mouth opened, but no words came out. Mama Sade covered her lips and began to cry. Nia stood completely still. Chief Dlamini finally spoke, his voice heavy with shame. I wanted to tell you when the time was right. But after your father died, there were threats, pressure, greed. I feared what people would do if they knew a child held that kind of power. Helena looked up sharply. You hid this from me? Chief Dlamini's eyes hardened. Yes, because even then, I knew not everyone in this house could be trusted with power they did not earn. Tayo stepped forward angrily. This is nonsense! I am your son! Chief Dlamini turned to him with cold disappointment. And that is exactly why this is your greatest shame. You spent months humiliating the woman who legally owns more of this empire than you ever will. Tayo looked at Nia as if seeing her for the first time. Nia's voice, when it came, was quiet. So all this time, my mother was washing floors in a house built partly by my father? Mama Sade wept openly now. I wanted to tell you. But your father's dying wish was that you grow up free of greed. He told me never to let wealth become the first thing you know about yourself. Nia closed her eyes. Every insult, every humiliation, every cruel laugh, all of it returned at once. Then she opened her eyes and asked the question that mattered most. Barrister Kone, as majority owner, what authority do I hold right now? Kone answered without hesitation. Immediate emergency governance rights in cases of reputational damage, leadership misconduct, and fiduciary risk. Tayo went pale. Helena whispered, No. Kone continued. You may suspend succession decisions, freeze ceremonial appointments, order an internal review, and remove any public representative whose conduct endangers the company. Nia slowly turned to Tayo. The room held its breath. Tayo Dlamini, she said. Effective immediately, you are suspended from all succession privileges pending review. Helena rose in outrage. You cannot do this! Nia looked at her with terrifying calm. I can, and I just did. Then she turned to Helena. As for you, Madam Helena Dlamini, you are hereby removed from the charitable board you used to polish your image while treating women like dust. Chief Dlamini did not interrupt. He knew justice was speaking. Tayo stepped toward Nia with panic replacing pride. Nia, listen to me. We can talk about this privately. She looked at him. Privately? You had no problem insulting me publicly. He swallowed hard. I made a mistake. Nia's answer cut deeper than anger. No. A mistake is stepping on someone's foot. You revealed your character. For the first time in his life, Tayo had nothing to stand on. No jokes. No arrogance, no applause, only the wreckage of his own mouth. By afternoon, a formal board notice was released. The public learned that Nia Okafor was not only the fiancé in the viral humiliation scandal, but the majority owner of Dlamini Group through a long-protected legal trust connected to the late co-founder, Obiora Okafor. The internet exploded. People who mocked her now praised her grace. Commentators called it the reversal of the decade. Women posted clips of her line again and again. A surname only has value when the people carrying it have honor. But Nia was not celebrating. Power did not erase pain. That evening, She sat with Chief Dlamini in the old garden behind the mansion. He looked older than she had ever seen him. "I failed your father," he said. Nia shook her head slowly. "You honored his shares, but you let your son dishonor his memory." Chief Dlamini nodded. "That is true." After a long silence, he asked, "What will you do now?" Nia looked toward the staff quarters, where her mother had spent years shrinking herself to survive. "First, my mother leaves this place with dignity. Second, every staff member in this household gets a welfare review, pension correction, and legal protection. Third, no one in this company will ever again be shamed because of their class." Chief Dlamini's eyes filled with quiet respect. "Your father would be proud of you." Nia answered softly, "Then let me build something he would recognize." The next morning, Tayo came to see her. Not in designer clothes, not with security, not with pride. He looked like a man who had finally met himself and hated the introduction. "I came to apologize," he said. Nia did not invite him to sit. He continued anyway. "I used you. I insulted you. I thought money made me untouchable. I was wrong." Nia listened in silence. Tayo lowered his head.
All my life, people cleaned up after my behavior. My mother excused it. My name protected it. My father warned me, but I never learned. And now I have lost everything. Nia's eyes were steady. "You did not lose everything, Tayo. You lost the illusion that everything belonged to you." He looked up, broken. "Is there any chance you could forgive me?" Nia took a breath. "Forgiveness is possible. Marriage is not." The truth landed like a final bell. "You do not need a wife," she said. "You need humility. You need work. You need consequences." Tayo nodded slowly, tears pressing behind his eyes. "What should I do?" "For once in your life," Nia said, "earn your next meal without your surname." Weeks passed. The wedding was officially cancelled. Helena disappeared from public events. Chief Dlamini stepped back from daily operations and allowed a transitional ethics committee to be formed under Nia's direction. And Tayo? Tayo shocked everyone. He left the penthouse apartment, returned the luxury company car, and through one of the group's smaller logistics partners without using his last name, he took an entry-level operations role in Port Harcourt. He loaded invoices, checked warehouse stock, waited in traffic with ordinary staff, ate canteen rice from plastic plates. And for the first time, people judged him by his effort instead of his family. It was humiliating. It was painful. It was necessary. Meanwhile, Nia transformed the company. She launched an employee dignity charter, recovered funds stolen from the Widows Foundation, created scholarships in her father's name, and moved her mother into a beautiful home where the woman who once served everyone could finally rest. One afternoon, a journalist asked Nia the question everyone wanted answered. "When you discovered you owned the empire, what did you feel first? Power or revenge?" Nia smiled gently. "Neither. I felt grief. Because too many people only respect the poor when they discover they are secretly rich." That answer spread across the nation. Months later,
At the opening of the Nia Okafor Institute for Girls in Technology and Leadership, Nia stood before a crowd of students, mothers, workers, and business leaders. Mama Sade sat in the front row, dressed in blue lace, tears shining in her eyes. Chief Dlamini sat beside her, not as a powerful man demanding attention, but as an old man grateful for grace he did not deserve. And at the back, unnoticed by many, Tayo stood quietly in a simple suit. He had changed. Not completely, not perfectly, but truly. After the event ended, he approached Nia one last time. "I got promoted," he said with a shy smile. "Small promotion, nothing grand, but I earned it." Nia smiled back. "That matters more than grand things." He nodded. "I used to think respect came from wealth." "And now?" she asked. Tayo looked around at the institute, the girls, the mothers, the staff. "Now I know respect is given to people who know how to carry power without crushing others." Nia said nothing for a moment. Then she extended her hand. Tayo looked at it, surprised. Not as a lover, not as an owner, not as a prince. Just as a human being offered a clean chance to stand differently. He shook her hand. And in that simple moment, a man who once believed the world existed beneath him understood the lesson that nearly destroyed his life. Money can buy obedience. It can buy silence. It can buy invitations, headlines, and polished tables. But it cannot buy character. Character is revealed in how you treat those who cannot benefit you, in how you speak when cameras are on, in how you act when no one is clapping, and in whether power makes you cruel or compassionate. Tayo learned that too late to keep his bride, but not too late to save his soul. As for Nia Okafor, the woman they mocked for being too poor to belong in a wealthy house, she never needed their permission to belong anywhere. Because before she ever owned an empire on paper, she already carried the kind of dignity that no bank, no boardroom, and no arrogant man could ever create. And that is why, in the end, she did not rise because she was secretly rich. She rose because even in humiliation, she refused to become small. So if there is one lesson in this story, let it be this. Never mock the quiet person in the room. Never measure a woman by the job her mother does. Never confuse money with greatness. And never assume that the person standing silently beside you is powerless. Because one day, the very person you looked down on may be the one holding the keys to everything you tried to control. And when that day comes, wealth will not save you. Only character will. The end.